So I was scrolling on TikTok the other day and I saw a piano player and they were talking about the idea of like a gospel chord change or a gospel chord trick where they played a 1 to a 6, in this case A major, to a 6, in this case F sharp minor, and they were showing us how you could add another chord in between to make that progression sound more interesting. Hear that? How lovely that sounded, like where there was a tension that built up and it wanted to go to the 6th chord. It wanted that tension to be released. This was really cool, and I was digging into this a bit, and I was trying to figure out, well, why is it doing that? The answer is sort of rooted in the idea of secondary dominant chords. A regular dominant chord is typically the 5th chord in a key. So in the key of A, it's actually E, and you play it like this. E major with a flat 7. The 3 of the 5 chord right here really wants to go up, semitone right there to be resolved, and the flat 7 of the 5 chord here really wants to go back. The 3rd and the flat 7 of your dominant chord are both just a half step away from really important intervals in your root of the key, right? So E7, right? The 3rd of that is actually a major 7 in comparison to your root chord, and it really wants to pull a half step up towards your root chord. And then your flat 7 of your 5 chord is only a half step above the major 3rd of your root chord. So it really wants to pull down, right? That's why you get that tension there, right? Because the distance between the flat 7 and the 3 is a tritone, and they really want to move apart just ever so slightly. And that resolves really nicely to the 1 and the major 3, which is the most important notes in your 1 chord. And that's sort of the idea of what a dominant 7 chord does. It really wants to take you back home. In this case, it wants to take you back to the root chord, the root note of the key that you're playing in. So a secondary dominant is the same idea, but we're taking a dominant chord from a different key altogether. So how do we know what chord to actually play? In the example that they played in this video, went from the 1 to the 3 dominant 7 to the 6. Now, if you're familiar with your major scale, you'll know that the 3rd interval in a major scale is actually a minor chord. So how do we get from a C sharp minor, the 3rd of the key that we're in, key of A, to a 3 dominant 7, a major chord with a flat 7 in it? Well, this is actually the 5th chord of the key that we're going to, right? So we're trying to get to F sharp minor. So we're looking at F sharp. And if you play a major scale up from F sharp to the 5th interval, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's C sharp, right? And since the 5th chord in any key is a dominant chord, we can borrow the 5th of the key of F sharp. And because we have that 3rd in there and that flat 7 that really want to resolve to the F sharp, it fits in nicely, right? We can use it to add color and a little bit more excitement to the chord changes that we're using. But the great thing is you don't have to stop there. You can use this all over the place. You can go to any chord you like. Well, let's just play with that, right? You can use a neat little trick here. If you go from the interval that you want another 5th of, if you go up a string, same fret, that's the 5th interval in relationship to your E right there. Right? You can also go up a string and up 2 frets. That's also your 5th interval, right? So that's a B. Putting it simply, a secondary dominant chord allows you to borrow the 5th chord from a different key in order to spice up the journey from your 1 to your 6, or from any chord to any other chord. All you do is look at the destination, and you think to yourself, what is the fifth interval above the root of that destination? And then play that chord as a dominant 7 chord, as a major chord with a flat 7, just to add a little bit of interest to your chord progressions. If you found anything in this video useful, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps me out, and thank you for watching.